Welcome to the Manitoba Fitness Council Aquatic Exercise Certification course. We're going to move through chapters 1 and 2 in this first PowerPoint presentation. First of all, let's talk about the Manitoba Fitness Council. So the Manitoba Fitness Council is an organization here in Manitoba that certifies fitness instructors. At the time of this recording, we have approximately 1,000 instructors that are certified with the Manitoba Fitness Council currently living in Manitoba. We offer a number of different certifications, including step and choreography, aquatic exercise, yoga fitness, registered personal trainer, resistance training, sport conditioning, indoor cycling, pre and postnatal, active older adult, children and youth certifications, and we are always adding more. If you have not taken exercise theory, which is our fundamental gateway course for the certification, you're going to have to go back and take that in order to get the certification for the Manitoba Fitness Council. How does it work to get certified? So in order to get certified for aquatic fitness, like I said, you take the exercise theory course. There's an exam there that you have to write and pass. The aquatic exercise course also has an examination, a written examination that you have to write and pass. Now, if you live outside of the city of Winnipeg, there is an opportunity to have that exam proctored in your home community, so you don't have to drive to Winnipeg unless you want to. There is also a practical assessment that is done at the end of the certification process just to make sure that you are going to be able to teach a safe and effective class. Now, if you again are not in the city of Winnipeg or not around where we have an evaluator, you can record that course or that class and send it in to us, and that will be an easy way for you to get the certification completed quickly and so that you are ready to get up and start teaching in your community. Throughout this online workshop, you're going to hear us refer to a couple different documents that are inside the folder that would have come along with your manual. So the manual that we're using is called the Complete Guide to Aquatic Fitness. You would have also received a white folder with your package that has a couple different documents in it that are very important. One such document is called the NFLA Performance Standards, and it indicates what the crucial parts of the certification are that you're going to need to know and master in order to be able to write the exam and do the practical assessment. Another piece of that document is called the Scope of Practice. So this Scope of Practice indicates to you what it is that you are allowed to do and what it is that you are not allowed to do. So basically, you're allowed to teach a class that works with people who are apparently healthy. You are allowed to work from Canada's Food Guide. We are not allowed to promote different fad diets and things like that, but all of that would have been covered already with you in the exercise theory course. So let's move on to the learning objectives. The learning objectives for this course can be found also in the performance standard document. So it's not called learning objectives, but it is called performance standards, so they are one and the same. First thing we're going to do is we are going to define aquatic fitness. Then we're going to list the benefits of aquatic fitness and talk about those, explain the unique qualities of aquatic fitness training. We're going to talk about address misconceptions regarding aquatic fitness. We're going to define the differences between land and aquatic fitness environments. So these can be found in your NFLA performance standards, and this will be performance standard number 1. So what is aquatic fitness? Aquatic fitness is exercises that are performed primarily in a vertical position in shallow or deep water. So swimming is what people commonly refer to when they think of exercises in the pool, but aquatic fitness is not swimming. Sometimes we do use some swimming-like movements, but it is not a swimming class. So most times people are upright, standing in the shallow or deep water. And the water is what is used in a aquatic exercise class to create the resistance by unstreamlining the body. We use different pieces of equipment. We're going to get into those and talk about those a little bit later on. The goal of the classes is to create sufficient resistance and gain a cardiorespiratory and resistance and flexibility training response. So we want to have people be able to do some strength training in the pool. We want to have them get their heart rate up so that they can work on their cardiorespiratory systems. And there's also a great opportunity to work on flexibility training because people are floating in the pool and have the opportunity to move in ways that they may be uncomfortable or not able to do in a land-based class. Here we're going to turn to page 11 in your textbook and talk about some of the benefits of aquatic fitness. Some of the benefits include increased energy and well-being from being able to get in the pool and exercise for long periods of time, stress management, emotional and muscle relaxation, especially in a warmer pool environment. People find the water to be very soothing. Improved cardiovascular fitness. Again, there's lots of opportunities for us to work hard and at an intense level in the pool, provided we have an instructor that can give us the proper cues to be able to do that. Improved venous return, increased level of metabolism, improved body composition both by toning and potential weight loss, improved strength and muscle endurance, increased range of motion and flexibility, improved levels of coordination. In the textbook, there are a number of other ones that are listed. These include a sense of play and enjoyment. Aquatic fitness can be a lot of fun. We have done everything in our classes from duck races. We have lots of access to some of those little toys that the kids use in their swimming classes. We use those. We've had some opportunities for some partner work. We laugh a lot, we play a lot, and we have a lot of fun. It also can allow you to have a sense of feeling refreshed rather than feeling exhausted. There is substantial opportunity for energy expenditure and fat burning while, during, and after the class. Opportunity to create improved respiratory function. Muscles and joints are less susceptible to injury. When we look at the difference between a land class and a water class, there is much less impact in a water-based class. So people can feel free to move at a higher intensity. They can feel free to move in different planes of motion that might otherwise be uncomfortable. There's also the opportunity for rehabilitation of injured or compromised tissues and joints. We often get a lot of people who have been cleared for exercise, but they need to do exercise that's not going to be too hard on the body. So they're going to come after, hip replacements or knee replacements, get in the water and start to get that muscle tone back into the body in a way that is not going to injure them. Also an opportunity for core strength and stability. There's a lot of cueing that's required in aquatic fitness to help people get the most out of their classes. And you can really help them improve their core strength and stability. Even things like having them not move during a certain arm exercise, cueing the core in different ways. Lots of opportunity for that in the pool. Moving on to page 12 in your textbook, let's talk about why water is such an excellent medium to exercise in. It provides a pleasant start for beginners or deconditioned exercisers. So many times people that come to aquatic fitness classes have not been exercising a lot in the past. It may be because of illness, it may be because they haven't had time. For whatever reason, aquatic fitness is a great way to kind of break back into exercise. We also have to make sure that we are able to accommodate different levels of fitness levels in our classes, especially where you have a real varied group. You may have, a lady who's 80 years old. Next lady who's in the class may be a prenatal lady. You may have a 40-year-old gentleman. You may have athletes of all ages. And they may all be coming to the same class. So we want to make sure that we are providing an opportunity to accommodate all those variety of fitness levels within one training program. It's perfect for cross training, so especially people who are doing something else. Running is one that we get a lot of people coming in cross training in the water because there's less impact. So they can come and get those extra workouts in without having the opportunity to have that impact that they would have if they were running outside or on cement or even on a treadmill. Also have the opportunity for people to move in different planes of motion in an easy way that doesn't have as much issues with joints. It's a gravity reduced environment, so again, it's better for joints, not a lot of impact, especially if you're in the deep end, there's no impact. We're going to talk about the difference between a shallow water class and a deep water class, getting on a little bit further. There's lots of opportunity to challenge cardiovascular endurance and muscle strength. There's lots of opportunity for resistance through all ranges of motion and all planes of movement. So when we look at any kind of movement in the water, so normally what we try to do is we try to keep the arms always in the water and the legs always in the water. There's not a ton of work that's done with the arms out of the water. So think about, moving your arms through the water up and down, so bringing them from the top of the water down to your hip, maybe bringing them across in front, maybe in a breaststroke kind of a movement. There's resistance in all different levels. There's no way that it's going to be super easy. There's no way in a land class, there is there's always resistance. So there's resistance moving when you were lifting up the arms, but there's an easier way. So when you're dropping the arms down, say from shoulder height down towards the body, that is you were using the effects of gravity to make it easier. In the water, we have kind of the same level of movement, both up and down. Now that might change if we're using some equipment, but again, we'll talk about that a little bit later. The pool temperature can wick sweat, but warmer water can help relax muscles. So if you've never thought about what the temperature of your pool is, if you have a pool that you're planning to teach at, it's a good idea to find out the temperature of the pool ahead of time. It's also a good idea to do some training yourself in the pool before you ever teach at that pool, just so that you can understand the difference in the water temperature. Here in Winnipeg, there are a wide variety of temperatures in pools, depending on what the pool is used for. We have a couple of therapy pools, which are very warm pools, although if you ask the participants, they wouldn't say they're very warm. But they're very warm with regards to how they would compare to an athletic training tank. So it's important to understand what the pool temperature looks like and what it feels like before you start putting together a class. One of the reasons that people don't exercise is because they may be embarrassed. So one of the things that Aquatic Fitness provides an opportunity for people to feel that they are exercising in more of a private environment. Even if there's a ton of people around, they get in the water, they have the opportunity to move side to side and front to back, and nobody else is really looking at them. Nobody else can tell exactly how fast they're moving or how efficient they're moving. So it gives people a lot of opportunity for that. It also reduces stress on their joints. And if you are someone who is prone to overheating, this is going to lead to less overheating for those people. Water also is really good for people who have diseases and the effects of diseases. So things like people with Parkinson's, people with fibromyalgia, people with arthritis, people who are post-stroke, have diabetes, post-cardiac, post-motor vehicle accident. So it's again important to understand that these people will have to have been qualified as a apparently healthy individual in order to be in your class. But just because you have arthritis doesn't mean that you're not a healthy individual and doesn't mean that you shouldn't exercise. If you'd like to, it might be a good time to move through pages 12 and 13 in your manual. On 13, it asks you to create a poster that captures the attention of the benefits of aquatic exercise. This might be a good time to do that. Anyone who's ever talked about aquatic fitness will have heard some of the following misconceptions. So misconception number 1 about aquatic exercise is that it is difficult to get an intense workout. So intensity in aquatic fitness is directly proportional to the effort and movement skills of the participant. We have the opportunity to take people's level of intensity up. pretty high. It also is just like any other class. People have to put in the effort. They have to work at the capacity that you're queuing for in order to get that high level of intensity out of a workout. But if you were to come and talk to my participants in my class, they would tell you that definitely you can get an intense workout while being in the pool. One of the other misconceptions is that it is a completely injury-free activity. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as a completely injury-free activity, but there's definitely those activities that are more prone to having people be injury-free, and the water is definitely one of those places. It's up to us, though, as instructors, to ensure that we are cueing for those people that may have poor alignment, people that are using or being unsafe in the environment, especially at pool level. We also have people, again, that we talked about earlier, coming to us with a low fitness level, and we have to make sure that we are giving very good instruction. One of the things that you can do to help alleviate some of the injury-free activities is make sure that people wear aquatic shoes to and from class, as well as in the class. So this will help them to make sure that they're not slipping coming out of the shower onto the pool deck. In the water, it also gives them a lot more grip. It gives them an opportunity to have some extra resistance, but it also makes it safer for them to be, jogging on the spot, or even, walking back and forth in the pool. They have less opportunity to slip. Some people also think that you need to be a good swimmer in order to participate. This is a question that I get all the time from people who are either looking to become instructors or looking to come and take a class. And this is definitely not true. So do you have to be comfortable in water? And my answer is actually still no. I have had over the years a number of ladies who have come to me and have not been comfortable in the water. There's ways that we can make them comfortable in the water. We can bring them into the shallow end. We can bring them over to the side and allow them to even hold on to the side until they feel that they are comfortable and sure of their footing and able to kind of start to move a little bit. We can park them right in front of the lifeguard to help them feel a little bit safer. We are not swimming, so that's important to talk to our participants about. Now, if you have a deep water class, it is important that if you have someone going into the deep water and they are wearing a buoyancy belt, they still need to be able to right themselves. So if they happen to, go over forward or over backward, we still need them to be able to be brought back up to kind of an upright position. They are going to feel really unsafe if that's something that they're not able to do. For those that are still very unsure, making sure that they're not leaving contact, they're keeping contact with the bottom of the pool at all times is going to be absolutely essential. If you again are in the deep water, you want to help them stabilize and work in a vertical position as much as possible. Don't have them work in a horizontal position until they're ready for that. Another misconception is that aquatic fitness is only for women, older, overweight, unfit, or injured individuals. Now, we do get lots of women, we do get lots of older people. We also do get overweight people, unfit, and injured individuals, as well as everybody else. Now, it is great for all body types and fitness levels, and you put in what you get out. So that's an important distinction. Another misconception is that it's difficult to lose weight in an aquatic fitness environment. So again, going back to our exercise theory information that talks about intensity and what we need to actually burn weight, we need to keep a sustained cardiorespiratory rate for a long period of time, kind of a slow burn in order to be able to burn calories and lose weight. It can be a little bit more challenging in the water because the heart rate does tend to be between 10 and 15 beats lower than it is on land. This is because of hydrostatic pressure, buoyancy, venous blood return, and aquatic fitness has a constant resistance from the water, so this can actually increase the overall caloric expenditure. It is important to continue to challenge participants to work an intensity that is appropriate for themselves. Turning to page 16 in your textbook, there's an opportunity to learn about the difference between water and land exercise. If you have been a water person all your life, you may have already experienced some of these things. If you are new to aquatic fitness, it's important that we go through them regardless. In the water, we tend to have minimal impact when we look at joint impact. So when you put your feet on the bottom of the pool, you cannot have the same level of impact as you can on land. Now on land, we do talk about low impact options for different exercises depending on the group that you're working with. But in the water, we definitely have much lower levels of impact. In the water, we have a real opportunity to limit the number of falls that we have in our classes. It's even a great place to work on falls prevention. And if you are looking for some additional information, you can check out the Manitoba Fitness Council videos on falls prevention and exercise. In land classes, again, higher risk of falls. We have more things that can be on the floor and less opportunity for people to catch themselves between the actual fall before they get to the ground. In water, we challenge the cardiovascular system without going faster. So because we have that resistance around the body all the time, there's an opportunity to challenge the cardiovascular system this way. For people who may be more deconditioned, if you are using land as your primary mode of exercising, they may need to do more sitting or chair exercising. In the water, you have the opportunity to reduce joint swelling. On land, we have, unfortunately, increases in joint swelling. In the water, we have the cool, refreshing opportunities of exercising in the water. This is also one of the things that helps to reduce the joint swelling, the coolness, the hydrostatic pressure, and less impact. Now, one thing that I did miss up here, it requires more balance to be on land. Again, looking at the falls prevention and balance, there are lots of opportunities for you to work on balance training in the water. One of the best ones, or one of the ones that is in our falls prevention series, includes when you have people traveling back and forth in the pool, so moving from side to side, either in a jog or a walk, that you have them moving their head from side to side. So maybe as they're walking across the pool, they're looking over top of their right shoulder. On the way back, maybe they're looking over top of their left shoulder. So moving their focus can help actually work on balance and falls prevention. The density of the water makes it harder to move. So, you know, when you are in the water, you can move not as fast, but at the same point, you have that extra resistance. So it is a little bit harder to move. Turbulence massages muscles. So when you're in a water class, you have, so say you had everyone kind of jogging around in a circle. There will get to be a lot of turbulence there pretty quickly. If you have people turn around, then go against the turbulence, there is definitely, you have created some extra resistance. On a land class, it would be silly to think that as you have people change direction, that the air would suddenly become thick and they would have a harder time or an easier time moving based on the movements of others. In the water, moves are equally concentric and eccentric. We don't have to worry about the effects of gravity on the body. In the water, we have three-dimensional support of water, which makes balance easier. So it's a great, safe place to work on balance training. Resistance in the air ranges, in the water, pardon me, ranges between 4 and 42 times greater than it is in air. So because of the viscosity of the water, there is, it does feel like it is 42 times greater than it would be in a land class. Buoyancy supports 90% of the body's weight for reduced impact and greater flexibility. So this again goes back to that opportunity that we talked about earlier with people who would be unable to exercise, say jogging on the spot in a land class, but are definitely able to jog on the spot in a water class. Land classes may be difficult for people who are overweight. And again, this is something where when you have buoyancy supporting 90% of the body's weight, it's going to be easier. Also, sometimes people, their buoyancy levels in the water are highly increased. So some people are very buoyant. It's something that I never really noticed a lot until I started teaching aquatic fitness and working with people in an aquatic fitness setting. Some people are very buoyant. So they have the opportunity to be held up in the water without a whole lot of effort. In the land classes, that is something that never happens. In the water, hydrostatic pressure aids in venous return and reduces blood pressure and heart rate. In a land class, heart rate tends to be 10 to 15 beats per minute higher than it is in the water. On page 16 in your textbook, it gets into some other pieces, talking about things like depth of immersion and how that impacts the difference between someone who, again, would be kind of in a land class and someone in a water class. The joints do not experience the same gravitational loads as on land, but the body is constantly being pushed and pulled by aquatic currents. Core stability and balance are challenged as the participant tries to move through the buoyant medium. Instructors need to experience water themselves in order to best explain sensations, cue stability, and move through the water at the appropriate speed. It is extremely important for an aquatic fitness instructor to practice on their own, to spend time in the water doing the movements before you are actually teaching them to other people. So it's interesting because even something as small as changing the movement of the hand or the placement of the hand or the position of the hand in something like a ski exercise is going to make the exercise much more difficult. In a ski exercise, again, if you were to make the movement much smaller, people can move much faster. So again, it's being able to understand what that movement looks like, feels like, and how to cue it for what your desired impact or outcome is of that particular level of the class. In water classes too, it also is an opportunity for people to take less time to kind of get involved in the class. So for instance, if you were taking a choreography class on land, if you've taken one before, you'll know sometimes it takes a really long time to kind of catch on and feel that you're really in the thick of things and being able to get a great workout. Aquatic fitness is a lot easier because lots of times we'll stay in a movement for kind of up to 30 seconds, sometimes even up to a minute, depending on what the exercise is and what we're trying to do with it. So people get a lot more practice from those basic exercises, and they tend to feel less awkward quickly. Tips for participants that are new to aquatic fitness. So thinking back to exercise theory when we talked about the PAR-Q plus, one of the questions that was listed asked people if they experience pain, dizziness, or shortness of breath. This is a really important one to go over with your participants maybe again and talk to them and just let them know that if they experience any of these things, they need to tell you as soon as possible. Listen to their bodies. So what we get is, again, with those deconditioned individuals, sometimes they come out and they want to go as hard and as fast as the other people in your class who have been coming for sometimes months, sometimes years kind of beforehand. You want to get them to progress slowly and get used to the new environment because they still can develop DOMS, which is delayed onset muscle soreness, from an aquatic fitness class, especially if they are doing lots of muscle conditioning and not kind of taking it easy. So again, even sometimes they may not feel it, but you're going to actually try and get people to move from a low to a moderate level of intensity for the first several classes until their body has fully adapted to this new exercise environment. Buoyancy and turbulence will challenge your balance, coordination. Reducing the depth may help. Lots of times when people come to especially a shallow water class, they're unsure of where they should be. So usually they'll kind of find a spot that they're comfortable in. Most times in a shallow water class, they end up going too deep or too shallow. So where is the perfect height for them to be in a shallow water class? They should have the water somewhere between their belly button and their nipple line is kind of where the best place for them to be. As they move back and get deeper, it gets harder and harder to keep up with their balance. Also, especially if someone is not a good swimmer or not feeling as comfortable in the water, many movements will actually pull them backwards and create a situation in your class that you just don't want to have. So having them be in that kind of optimum range and kind of having, calling their attention to it on a regular basis will help you stay comfortable with people in your class, and also help them to work on the best level of turbulence, buoyancy, balance and coordination while doing different exercises in a shallow water class. Water decreases the speed of movement. So there's lots of opportunity for us to change the intensity level because the speed of movement has decreased. And so there's different exercises that we can do to help us because we have that decreased speed of movement. Want to make sure that we cue and talk to our participants about suitable attire for vigorous water exercise. This includes water shoes. So water shoes can be, you can spend anything from $10 to, $150 on them. The ones that you buy at the convenient, not at the at places like Walmart or Superstore are perfectly fine. They're usually about $10. They kind of come out spring, summer. They are going to work and give people some grip that as they're walking to and from the pool, as well as in the pool, and they also give them some extra resistance. People who are uneasy in the water definitely should be wearing water shoes because it gives them that little bit of extra grip. Other things that we tend to recommend to our participants are things like sometimes wearing a sports bra underneath your bathing suit. So I find that lots of participants will come to class and they're wearing a bathing suit that's just not suited for the level of activity that we're going to be going into. So what happens is they feel uncomfortable, things are moving around where they shouldn't be moving around. So wearing a sports bra underneath is a good opportunity for that. Sometimes people get a rash from their bathing suit, so using something called a rash guard. So basically it's usually a long sleeve t-shirt. May also help them to feel a little bit warmer in the water. If you are in a cold pool, you can also recommend that they wear a long sleeve shirt over top of their bathing suit. If you are outside, you may want to have them or recommend that they may want to wear shorts or sunglasses or maybe even hats for outdoor classes, and always sunscreen.